Should they both be under consideration at this stage?
So for me, I wouldn't have Hurts in, but I would have Purdy in, and that does not necessarily translate across the board from most media. I don't think, because Hurts is the favourite. Look, realistically, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the MVP. The MVP trophy is not who played the best this year. It's what's the best team in the league, who's the biggest name on that, normally who's the quarterback on that. So Jalen Hurts is the shoe-in if the Eagles keep winning, because their record is the best in the league by a distance at this stage. I think the Ravens are the only team that's close to them, 9-3, or the 49ers in a similar record. But either way, that's generally how that decision is made. But what you're really asking me is who's been the best player in the league, or the actual most valuable player in the league this year. To me, that comes down to three players. That's Dak Prescott, it's Lamar Jackson, and it's Brock Purdy. We've already talked about Prescott a little bit. Jackson probably doesn't need any real explanation. He's a dual-threat quarterback in the prime of his career. He's putting up big numbers and doing very, very well on a high-quality football team. Purdy is the one that people have a hard time comprehending, because there's one MVP voter already in the media who had a clip this week about how Trent Williams was getting his vote. There's other people who are voting for Christian McCaffrey. The arguments against Purdy are that the offense around him is far too talented, which is an insane thing to say, because Jalen Hurts has the two best wide receivers in the NFL on catching his passes. He has one of the best running games in the NFL. His defense is as dominant as anyone's on their day. So there's a lot of contradiction that goes on between in these conversations. But for me, Purdy has been outstanding. Even during that 3-game stretch where they lost games, I felt like he was still playing very, very well. That's turned around since. Hurts, I think Hurts is a more difficult one, because you don't turn around and say he's played bad. He hasn't played bad. He hasn't played poorly, but he hasn't played to the standards of the other players at the highest level. And a lot of his stats are being inflated by these tush-push that they call it, touchdowns, that where you don't really, like, obviously he has some value in that, but you don't feel like if you swapped him out for any other player that the outcome of those plays would change, which is ultimately what the argument should be.